Hello, hello, Facebook land and world. For those of you joining us for the first time, and also sort of those who just need a refresher, we are Keen Company. We're an off-Broadway theater company located in New York City, and this is our weekly after hours. I'm Jonathan Silverstein. I'm the artistic director, and I'd love to hand it over to my wonderful co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Ashley Georgie, managing producer here. Do you want to introduce yourself, Billy?
Yeah, and I'm Billy. I'm the marketing manager and social media manager here at Keen.
So this is After Hours, and we're gonna hang out weekly. You might have seen last week with George Salazar. Today we have another exciting guest, which we'll introduce in a second. But Keen Company we like to consider ourselves sort of the RAs of our floor. So in our office building, we have several other off-Broadway companies, which we love to chat with and hang out with. So we felt like our door's always open and people are always stopping by. And when we went into a virtual space, we missed seeing people. So we're here with our office door open. It's after hours, so maybe this is more like us, at a bar after a show or something. And we're excited to chat with guests, chat with some of our alumni and our favorite people in the industry and see how they're doing and what they're up to and just kind of learn more about them. Keen style.
Sometimes people do wander into our office after 6 o'clock with a glass of wine.
It's
so
true.
It does kind of make sense, this sort of after hours theme, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And Keen Company is known for our love of port.
Yes.
I don't know if we want to talk about that situation, but it might be an after hours for another day.
There is a good story to be told about port in the Keen Company office.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to save it for another after hours because it involves a little bit of a personal reveal. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Come back and listen. That's how you hook them.
Speaking of listening, before we admit our amazing guest, I just want to let all those folks know out there that we have just launched our new season, which is called Here Now, and it is a season of audio theater. It's really exciting for us because we're learning a completely different medium. We've learned all these new platforms, and we're going to be releasing pieces of audio theater starting next month. We're really excited. And in addition, we're doing some really wonderful benefit broadcasts of some classic old-time radio plays. And the first one's going to be at the end of October. So you'll be hearing more about that throughout the coming maybe hour and definitely weeks ahead.
Well, I think we can introduce our guest, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to introduce a Keen alum from Surely Goodness and Mercy, but a theatrical legend in her own right. So please welcome Brenda Pressley.
Woo woo! This is the virtual version of like high-fiving, walking through the big entrance. A curtain has parted.
Exactly.
Hi, Brenda.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
We're so honored to have you with us today.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here with you today. Thank you so much for the lovely invitation.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to do at the beginning of every after hours is to introduce our guest. Now, I am famous for my first rehearsal speeches, where I introduce the entire room. Now, Brenda was in a show at Keen Company that I didn't direct, that Jesse Hill directed. And we're going to talk a little bit about that show. So I didn't get a chance to actually introduce you. So I'm going to use this opportunity now, which I am absolutely thrilled
You've been saving this for like 2 years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So first of all, Brenda was in a show called Shirley, Goodness and Mercy that was by Chisa Hutchinson. And it was a beautiful, beautiful play about a very special young boy and his relationship with the woman who worked in the cafeteria. And here's a little, behind the scenes peek. The first role we cast was the lunch lady, and there was not even a question. The very first person we even thought about offering the role to was Brenda Pressley. It was just like unanimous, and she joined us. Thank goodness, first choice, first person cast. But I know Brenda. I have seen Brenda several times on stage before. Brenda has had a very large musical theater career, which I think we'll talk about. But I saw her first in Marvin's Room, which was one of my favorite shows. I think it was the first show I ever saw at the Minetta Lane. It was this beautifully dark, comic yet moving play that was written by Scott McPherson, that was about the AIDS epidemic. But it was also, it wasn't really about the AIDS epidemic, it was more about sickness. And it was sort of, the AIDS epidemic was sort of told through this lens. And Brenda was brilliant and hilarious. And then many years later, it must have been like 25 years later, I go and see another brilliantly dark comic play called The Lions on Broadway. And Brenda was also in that. I've always just really loved your work and was so excited to welcome you to the Keene family. And I just want to sort of add one more thing, and maybe we're going to touch on this. Brenda came into our office the second day of rehearsal and sat down. She needed to fax something or something. And you sat down in the chair, and we didn't really know each other. I just introduced myself to you. I wasn't in rehearsal with you. And something happened. I did something, and you looked at me and shook your head and totally clocked me. From that moment on, I was like, I love Brenda. I love it.
So sweet. It takes one to know one.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go. And Brenda, you were so beautiful in Shirley, Goodness and Mercy. It was just like when you and Jay, who played Tino, were on stage together, it just warmed my heart. It was so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay is so wonderful. What a lovely, lovely actor he is.
Oh my gosh. And boy, that was his off Broadway. It was his first equity show.
Right. And he was just stunning. Yeah. Everyone was just so impressed with his performance, including me, all of us.
And so you ended up working with Chisa again, didn't you?
Yes. Right after Shirley, Goodness and Mercy, I went into her Proof of Love, which was done at the Minetta Lane. She approached me about doing the one-woman show that she had written, this beautiful Proof of Love play. And we were in tech for Shirley, Goodness and Mercy. And as techs go, we were crazy and, just all over the place. And she brings up a one-woman show to me that's going to be starting rehearsals, just so soon. And I immediately said, no, that's I don't have the time to prepare, and I didn't. And so she sent it to me to read. And from the first page, it was like, oh my God, this is unreal. It was so beautifully written from that first page. And I said to myself, you've probably made a terrible mistake by saying no, but let's be realistic. something like this, a one-woman, 70-minute play or whatever, that takes time to prepare for. I did not have the time to prepare for it before the first rehearsal was to start. And so I said, well, I have to just be fair to myself and fair to Chisa and that company. But oh man, after reading just those first few pages, I was just floored. Oddly enough, they cast someone else and she got sick. And I was sitting in my dressing room while we were still doing Proof of Love. And my agent called and said, they want to talk to you again about Proof of Love. And without thinking about it for a moment, I said, I'll do it. Mind you now, still didn't have time to really prepare for it.
Even less time, probably.
But sometimes, the gods, the angels, good common sense comes into play. And I said, I'm going to go for it. And I rolled up my sleeves and I just went for it. It was truly the most challenging thing I've ever done professionally, but there were moments that were some of the most rewarding that I have ever experienced. Chisa is brilliant. She is just, it's spooky.
Mm-hmm.
The insight that she has about human behavior, about the world around her, about how we all fit into this world that we live in together, be it with a family situation or just dealing with the world in general. She's absolutely brilliant. And I am so grateful that fate would have it that the other actress had to bow out and I was asked again. It was meant to be. It just was meant to be. And as I read things in the script more and more and more, certain things spoke to my life, certain dates and that kind of thing. Like, this was mine to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and that was one of the audible pieces. So
yes.
Anyone listening now can go and listen.
Yes. It's there for posterity. Yes. Yeah. It was
I loved you in that play. Ashley and I sat there. I'm both of us weeping at points.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, who else would I want to sit and just listen to and watch for 70 minutes? Like, come on.
Just such beautiful writing. And it was right there. You didn't have to go anywhere to really connect with what was being shared, feel some of the things that were just so raw and right there for her audience and for the actor who was fortunate enough to delve into it that way. So I was very grateful to each and every person who came to share those moments with me and to, celebrate a brilliant young African-American writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chisa wrote for our Keen Teens program last year, which is this program we have where we commission amazing professional writers like Chisa to write 30-minute plays for high school students. And then we bring on professional directors, professional designers, and then bring in New York City teens and some New Jersey teens for a free program. And in new play production. And she wrote an amazing play about 8 different young women in a high school, all who were sexually harassed by their teacher. And what were they going to do? They wanted vengeance. Those actors, these women, I mean, they so dove in. They felt like she was speaking to them.
Yes.
And they all got very close. And I, I don't know, it was like and she wrote, 8 amazing different women, all full, all distinct.
Yes.
She's just remarkable.
Chisa, she really, really, really is. Yeah.
She also is the best hugger I know.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yeah. My kind of girl.
Yes. So can I ask you a question or two about your work and I'd love to know a little bit about how you got started being an actor.
Oh my. I did Pearly in college. My sophomore year, I was a music major, and Pearly was being done by the theater department. And well, why not audition? I sang, and I was right there, ready to just delve into whatever was there to delve into musically. And I got the lead role in Pearly, Ludi Bell Gussie Mae Jenkins. And that production kind of introduced me to an audience that just went bananas with our little production of Pearly. It was such hard work, but we were babies. And we were just right there for anything that our darling director wanted of us. And Pearly is a fun kind of, Ossie Davis wrote the play Pearly Victorious. And, it's kind of hokey in spots, but the music for Pearly just is glorious in spots. And we had our orchestra, and we had our full company of college kids and some locals, and we rocked Columbia, South Carolina on USC's campus, University of South Carolina, that campus like Mitchy Fitchy. I mean, they stood in line to get tickets to see our little college production. And with that kind of roaring response at the end of every production, every performance, it was like, wow, Brenda, you've hit on something here. And I enjoyed the work, and I enjoyed the connection with the audience. And the music department took note of what was there and decided to combine a music/theater degree for me, because we did not have
you invented the program.
So they kind of worked things where I took my acting classes with the theater department and still went along with my music department curriculum. So I had I'm pretty confident in saying, their first musical theater degree from University of South Carolina. But the reviews were just crazy. And people still talk about that production of Pearly.
Wow.
It was just a ride and a half.
Is there any archival video of this Pearly production?
No.
Oh, if only.
No. I have a picture of me on stage as Ludi Bell somewhere, probably downstairs somewhere. But anyway, it was then and there that my future was just kind of placed before me.
Wow.
So I just kept going in that direction. I did summer stock for 2 summers at the end of my college career. My senior years, I was in Kentucky at Jenny Wiley Summer Music Theater. First, I was at a dinner theater in Lexington, Kentucky, Diners Playhouse. I did hair there, and then went on to Jenny Wiley Summer Music Theater for summer stock work my junior year, well, after my junior year and the year that I graduated. So I was kind of doing professional work before I got out of college. And then we went on to New York, not knowing what the heck I was going to do, really. I just knew that I could sing and move well, and I loved musical theater, and Broadway was in New York City, so here we go. And I had a darling friend, Bob Newbert. I went to school with Bob, and he was the pianist in the pit for our production of Pearlie, and we became very, very dear to each other and remain like brother and sister to this very day. Bob is from New York, Newburgh, New York, and he was living in New York City by the time I graduated and was ready to come to New York. And so I kind of followed that thing of, you gotta come, you gotta come. And this person from Columbia, South Carolina, who was just, you know, I knew that there was something in me, but to say, oh, I'm gonna take the city by storm, it wasn't that. But I knew that I could not do what I felt was in me to do there in Columbia. And I had a friend who was so very confident that I would be okay if I came to New York. Well, I did come to New York, and I dabbled a little bit. I got a temp job, and I was living with him. And then I got another little place of my own. Well, not of my own. I was subletting with somebody else, and worked a little bit, just, you know, survival kind of stuff. Got scared to death after a while as to what on earth am I going to do here? I literally ran back home. I stayed in Columbia for a hot second. I taught kindergarten. Hated
I
it.
didn't know that. Wow.
Hated it. The kids were just adorable, but hated it because that's not what was there. You know, that wasn't what was for me to do. And I came back to New York in 78, 79. I've not been back to Columbia since. I stayed. Yes. I just had to get my bearings. And I had to really know for myself that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in New York. I wanted to work in theater. Broadway was going to be fabulous, but whatever came was going to be okay. But I had to be in New York. Whatever the circumstances, I had to be in New York. So I came back on my own terms, and slowly but surely, things started to happen. I was cast in And Still I Rise, written and directed by Dr. Maya Angelou. That was my first real gig in the city at a Muss theater.
That's a
Wow.
That was
Wow.
off Broadway. I don't even know if they still have an off Broadway. It may have been off Broadway, but it was Maya Angelou at the helm. And that's how I really got going, really.
So once you came back to New York, you really came back. I
But
mean,
it was me, just like sitting in that dressing room and the phone rings and it's my agent, Tony Clores, saying they want to talk to you again about Proof of Love. That's meant to be. It just was. My coming back on my own terms, knowing that this is really what I want to do. It was waiting for me. You know, what's yours is yours, not anybody else's. What's theirs is theirs, not yours. What's yours is yours. And so that's what happened. And I remember calling my parents and telling them that I had been cast and who the director was. And, you know, it was what? Like, yeah. And the show after that led to my equity card. It was an off-Broadway review at the Red Bank Cafe downstairs. It's the Laurie Beachman room, my darling friend, Laurie Beachman. But it was just downstairs then, so many years ago. And things started happening Broadway-wise after that. So that's how I got started.
wow.
So Brenda, I kind of followed in your footsteps, I now discovered.
Really?
Because my first job out of college was as an actor at Horse Cave Theater in Horse Cave, Kentucky. And I did not plan on moving to New York, but I met someone there, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. So, but little did I know I was just really following your footsteps.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes. I hold Kentucky, in a sense, very proudly, because, you know, that's where I worked professionally for the very first time in my life, and listened to a lot of country music and ate a lot of country music food, I guess. A couple of diners or two, and sat in the midst of a lot of interesting folks. But Kentucky, yeah, Prestonburg, Kentucky.
Wow.
I've heard of that theater, the Jenny Wiley Theater.
Yeah.
Or yeah. It's like one story, right? It's like
Yeah. That's one stage, and then you have the seating that goes up. Yeah, it was just right, I guess. It wasn't, you know, one of these thousands of seats to be filled kind of situations, but it was my entree into professional theater. Yes.
And so what was your first Broadway show?
The Mooney Shapiro Songbook.
Oh.
By Jonathan Lynn. It was at the Morosco Theater. And it had come over from London, and it was a big hit in London. And I auditioned, and I was cast in the show as an understudy. I was Annie McGreevy's understudy. The musical was starring Jeff Goldblum, Judy Kay, Annie McGreevy, and I don't remember who else. But anyway, I understudied Annie. And the Mooney Shapiro Songbook started previews. I know we had previews for 2 weeks. We opened, give me May 6th, I think, 1981, and we closed May 6th, 1981. We opened on a Sunday evening, and as my mother and my darling godmother, her dearest friend, were getting ready to go back to Columbia, because of course they came up to see me in the pit as an understudy. I wasn't even on stage, but I was on Broadway. As they were getting ready to go back, the phone rang, and it was our company manager saying that you can come and get your things out of the dressing room. The show has closed. Yeah, that was how that went. But I was thinking about this today. Being very young, being fearless, being very sure that this was where I was to be. Having someone call and say your show has closed, it stung maybe for a couple of hours. But then I knew in my bones that, okay, next, let's get about the business of getting another show. So I went about auditioning and what have you, and had some good auditions, but then, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you that during the Mooney Shapiro Songbook, which was choreographed by George Faison.
Oh.
One day after we had finished rehearsals, Michael Peters, the wonderful choreographer Michael Peters, came by, stuck his head in the door just to say hi to George, because of course they were darling friends. Michael is gone now. And he was talking about this fantastic backers audition that they had just had for this fabulous new project. And I mean, people were going nuts and the money was just thrown, and oh man, wait till you see. And I was just eavesdropping as much as I possibly could, as I usually did, just trying to get, you know, a sense of what people were doing and saying and all. And the show was Dreamgirls. So, okay, we rehearse the Mooney Shapiro songbook. We go into our previews. We open and close the same night. So here I am auditioning again. And then the audition for Dreamgirls comes up. This was May. I know that that audition must have come up at the very end of May. If it wasn't the end of May, give me the 1st of June, May, June in there. And I went to the.
I can't believe you remember any of these dates. You're amazing.
Well, I prepared, Ashley. Yeah.
Okay, got it. You did your homework.
Move this along, and we can go on to something else. But I went to the Schubert Theater, as we were instructed to do, for an open call. I didn't have an agent. So this was for the chorus of this fabulous Hamilton-like, mega hit that was coming, called Dreamgirls. I went, and I think we were called at 9 o'clock. The open call started at 9. And of course, you had gobs of people there. We were led into the basement of the Schubert Theater. All of these young women, everybody's just, and we were led up in groups of maybe 5 to sing a certain amount of bars. And then at the end of that day, things whittled down to 2 of us, myself and a wonderful young woman from Columbia, South Carolina as well, Tanita Jordan.
What are
And
the
the 2
odds?
of us were asked to stay, and they brought us up on stage with one of those stage lights and the piano. And Henry Krieger and Tom Ian had just finished one of the songs somewhere else in the city, and they had come on over so that Michael Bennett, Bob Avian, and the crew could hear this wonderful new song that they had finished. And Tanita and I sang this. They taught it to us, and we sang the song for them. The production folks.
Oh my goodness.
And by then it was, oh my God, it was after 12 o'clock. It was an early afternoon by then, but we sang that song. And I think it was Michael Peters who said to me, "You're going to get a call back." And so I did get a call back. I'll fast forward. And the call back was in July. The call back was in June. Later on in June. And there we were. And you have every fantastic African-American dancer, singer. I mean, the principals had already been cast, but I mean, this was for the chorus. I mean, the legs would just go foo, and just everything and everybody, and the stakes were so high, and Michael Bennett was there stalking around, and it was just unbelievable. And I auditioned, and I moved around, and at the end of that audition, Michael Bennett came to me and said he was 90-some% sure that you have this job. And that's how they released me from that audition experience. And by gum, Joey called me later on that summer to say, so I was cast in Dreamgirls.
I mean, your career is so made of those sort of meant to be things where, like, of course, it was, probably upsetting that the Mooney Shapiro songbook was a flop. But if it was sort of the hit that they expected it to be in London, you wouldn't have been able to go to that Dreamgirls call.
Never look back. Billy, yeah. I never look back. That's why I'm saying I had it right. I didn't have it right probably for the right reasons. Like I said, young, fearless, ambitious. Okay, it closed. Oh, it's awful. It's embarrassing. But hey, let's move on. We can get something else. I got that. Let's get something else. Yeah. That's what I went about doing. And it worked. If I could just implement some of that spirit in my everyday life now. You keep going forward. It's there for you. There's a plan. There has to be a plan. I'm, a perfect example, a living example of there being, we all are. You know, the wonderful things that have happened, the things that we've been led around, all of those things, some of the scrapes along the way, but they all fit into that plan, that, you know, terrain of life and living. So yeah, I was in Dreamgirls, and there I stayed for out of town run in Boston, coming back here. I stayed in the show until they closed the doors 4 years later, and then went on up the street to Cats and stayed there for 3 years. Understand the bell.
I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now, Reed, who is our general manager, he wasn't there last year when you did Surely Goodness and Mercy. I think he's going to perhaps faint when he finds out that we interviewed you tonight and that you were in Cats. It's like his favorite musical of all time.
No, really? Okay. I did Cats for 3 years. Up the heavy side layer, baby. Yeah. I
I think that reaction was the thing. Oh man.
It's Grisabella. Yeah.
Oh,
The
that's
memory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would love to know a
Brenda,
little
that's
bit more about a Cast album that I sort of grew up with and is one of my favorites, and that's your performance in And the World Goes Round,
Yes.
which I'm just such a nerd for that show.
Oh,
and I think it's
Oh, isn't it? It's a
so
beautiful.
great.
Yeah. I did a television show along the way, came back and was cast in that, and was asked if I could roller skate. And what the hell did I say? In the heat of auditioning, and there's Fred Ebb and John Kander, Susan Stroman, Scott Ellis.
oh my
before you.
God. Oh my
If
God.
they
oh my God,
ask
oh
you
my God.
if you can roller skate, what are you gonna say? So I said, maybe something like, I can learn.
Yeah.
Mind you now, I was not 14 years old. So I set about the task of learning to roller skate, and I fell and I fell and I fell. I'll get the crazy part out of the way first, and then I'll tell you what a wonderful experience it was. But I fell so much that I traumatized muscles in my neck, and my stamina was compromised, and that was quite the experience. But the show itself, that was another gift. That show just kind of turned New York on its head for a moment. It was so beautifully done. And we were so good in it, if I do say so myself. Scott Ellis and Susan Stroman and the crew beat it into us that we would deliver a show that would just be so special. And it was. And they just flocked to it. They went nuts for that show. And I was so sad in having to leave it early, much, much too early. But I was not well after a while. And I have really not done a full-blown musical since. Well, I did do something, but what was asked of me vocally was nothing compared to what I was accustomed to doing because of my apparatus being compromised, because of the fall. Yeah. Learning to roller skate.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in that
Wow.
show. What's a little roller skating? Pshaw, you know? Well,
Wow.
but then again, had I stayed in that musical theater, you know, world, other opportunities may not have come. So there again, it's laid out before you. You may not understand why certain things may happen and all, but here we are. Yeah, that was somewhat of a swan song for me, but what a swan song. I mean, Liza Minnelli was in the audience for opening night. And I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on because, you know, it's Kander and Ebb, her darling friends.
Yeah.
It was just surreal. I had not been a part of anything like that really since dream girls, where you can't get a ticket, or Pearly in Columbia.
I was going to say, since your introduction of Pearly, sure.
But yeah, and the world goes round. And that recording, we did that recording after all was said and done with the original production closing. And I guess, who knows what happened, but they came back to me to do the cast album, and I was strong enough vocally to do it. You know, it had to do with my having to rest. I had to rest so much to kind of gain my strength back to do what was asked of me vocally for the show, but I was able to do it, and was very proud of our work on the cast album as well. So.
An amazing album. I mean, one of the greatest off-Broadway cast albums of all time.
John Kander, Fred Ebb. They don't come any better than that.
No. And it's a perfect
any better than that. There's some good stuff there all around us, but those two, and so lovely. You couldn't ask for nicer musical theater icons to be around.
Sure.
All the time. I mean, they were so lovely and so welcoming and so, just happy that we were doing this musical of all of their fabulous music. You really didn't feel so intimidated or, all of that. It was just lovely. Just, yeah.
And then you went on to have an amazing career in plays. I mean, what amazing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have been very, very fortunate and blessed to be invited to be a part of productions by way of auditioning or whatever. Yeah. And, it's times like these, what we're dealing with now, it makes you so grateful for what has been. What will be, we don't know, but doggone it, it's been so rich and so rewarding for me. It's fine. I mean that. I look forward to doing more, but for now, it's fine. If I were to sit and, why didn't I, or I should have, that would just be ridiculous. No great piles of fame or, money and that kind of stuff, but it's been wonderful. My work has been seen. You've invited me to talk about my work. That's everything to me,
Well, you better watch out, because we might make this like a weekly. It might just be, we privately are just going to call you every week to chat.
I'll meet with you on the
night. Great. We've got a lot more.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure also obviously you're incredibly talented, but you're such a light and such a good soul. And that's so important to teen company.
One.
Oh, well, thank you. But it just makes me happy. You're such a wonderful soul to have just to do all these amazing things. It makes sense to me, and it's a good thing.
Well, I say that I had such love and light coming at me by way of my parents, my, extended family, my wonderful friends, wonderful colleagues like my friends at Keene, and on and on and on. This just doesn't happen where you have good work coming, where you can keep your head kind of up no matter what. You can feel positive and blessed and hopeful in a pandemic. It just doesn't happen. You have to have a whole lot of stuff coming at you. So for that, I know how truly fortunate I am. Yeah. It's not so hard to give of yourself in a way that is a light, if you will, as opposed to, oh my God, what's going on here? When you such good stuff, you know, and I have had such good stuff coming at me all of my life. Not to say that everything has been, you know, a rose garden, because it has not. I've experienced some of the most painful experiences of my life, you know, over the past couple of years. But you lean on the good stuff that I just mentioned to pull you through and hold your head up and look for, you know, more light to come into you so that you can be a light, hopefully, to the world around you. That's a lot of flowery stuff, but it's true. It's so
I believe
true.
it.
It's so true.
I believe it.
Well, and just like you said when the show closed, you have to focus on doing the work to get to the next show. And the sort of the magic of theater, and especially Theater New York, is like there's always going to be another show. We're always gonna, it always comes back. As I'm sure you witnessed.
Yes.
70s through now. I mean, what a journey New York theater has had. You know, you of all people know that it always comes back. And if you say it, I believe it.
Well, you can take that to the bank. You really, really can. I'm a witness. It's just true. Yeah. And I think it's knowing that has always kind of supported my spirit of just relax. Sooner or later. And I mean, months can pass. We all know about that. But hold tight. It's coming. And it always does. It always does. It's magical. But ain't that life, you know?
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's coming.
So beautiful. Oh.
Yeah.
So Brenda.
Yes.
How is your starter?
My starter is fine. I made bread last week.
Oh,
Yes.
That's right. How is your starter? Do you have a starter? Or
Oh no, I've got a starter. It's good. I have not made bread in a while, but I was staying with my I was in Maine for the first 5 months of all of this with my mom, and I started a new starter up there. And honestly, I think something about the Maine air, it was beautiful.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
I think about you and your starter and how you have carried it on for so long. I love that story.
Yes. Well, I feed it every week. It has to be fed. And when I am away and I have to fly somewhere and can't take the starter with me, I enlist friends to babysit. Like would put a dog in a kennel or something like that. I have to have my starter keepers, my darling neighbor upstairs.
Starter been going.
Starter, yeah.
Love it.
It's absolutely necessary because it has to be fed every week. But no, it was started by a darling sorority sister who lost her battle with bladder cancer a number of years ago. And Stu's bread was, to this moment, I say she did something that she did not share with us in making her bread, because her bread was the best bread that I've ever tasted. And my bread, I think, is good. Yours, Jonathan, I know yours is too. I tasted some of yours. But anyway, it's more than bread. It's more than a starter. Yeah. It's Stu's love and generosity and her smile and her, hardcore, okay, Pressley, what are we doing? All of that. It lives in that starter. So, and the bread, the smell of the bread, just wonderful. So yeah, it's fine.
That is so beautiful. Leave it up to you to talk about starter and make that moving.
Well, it's the truth. It's the truth. Everything that I'm saying, I'm not making it up. I'm not embellishing. It's just the truth. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Very
great.
much so.
Well, Ashley, I think we can move on to the question bowl if we want to try that.
We've got a little lightning round question bowl here.
Okay,
You pick questions randomly out of the bowl.
okay.
Now, speaking of
You're
starters,
great.
this is a mixing bowl. So
Okay.
we're on theme. Okay. Here we go. Oh, this is a great question.
Okay.
Which Golden Girl do you think that you would be if you had to pick one Golden Girl? Now, I don't know the Golden Girls' personalities as well as these guys do, so you can phone a friend.
I'm a little bit Dorothy. I'll say Dorothy.
Okay,
I'll say Dorothy. Yeah,
I think so too.
Great one.
I'd buy that. I would totally buy that.
yeah.
I would so be into living in a house with you in Florida when I get older.
No.
I'll sign up for that now if we want to.
Totally.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
Brenda, do you prefer matinee or evening performances?
Matinee performances.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it that you love about them?
I'm fresher in the day. I've
Yeah.
always loved matinee performances. As early back as Dreamgirls, when we changed our schedule and had Sunday matinees, I would go to church. I would walk to church, come back to my apartment, and then go on to the theater, jump on the subway and go to the theater and just feel so refreshed. And matinee, knowing that it was just one matinee performance and then we had our day off. And I just love them, You still had a little bit of the day after your performance.
I have a soft spot in my heart for matinee audiences who I feel like they tend to be sort of more New Yorkers, and they tend to be like real sort of theater people, and I think they're delightful.
That's right. And Sunday matinees specifically. Saturday matinees, you got a Saturday night performance.
Yeah.
Sunday matinees are ideal.
Or bliss.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite season? Winter, spring, summer?
Fall.
We're in it then. We're coming up.
We're in it.
I agree.
Listen, cloudy, windy, Fridays, fall, Saturdays as well, Sundays, weekends. Weird but true, and have been that way forever.
I agree. I prefer colder, crisper weather. I want to wear like a sweater. Yeah.
Absolutely. My friends get very irritated with me when I start, going so crazy about the crispness in the air. It's like, shut up already, but I love it.
Okay, favorite role. Now, obviously, Keen Company is definitely your favorite, but your second favorite. That's tough, man. You've had quite a journey.
Well, not so tough. I tell you, Louise in 7 Guitars.
Oh, okay.
And that was kind of a Dorothy kind of turn, to be honest with you, because hey, let's go, let's that. Ruben Santiago Hudson saw Louise in me when I didn't really see Louise in me. And I'm not telling tales out of school. He said, it was you. I wanted you. I knew you could do it. I was scared to death because it was my first experience with August Wilson. It was New York. It was the first time New York had seen it since its Broadway, run. Ruben was at the helm, who is just absolutely fabulous in so many ways. The expectation was so high, but there I was amongst this fabulous company with the Signature Theater, just a buzz about it. And that opening night, my feet never touched the stage. But Louise is, I think, that's the one. And now I could really go back and do it. I was still in my early 50s. Well, early 50s then. So I feel like I can do anything now that I'm older than that. But anyway, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, well, next season, Johnny, work on that. I'm hearing Brenda could do a revival. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
Do we have time for one more?
I think we have time for one more. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, dream travel destination. Now we know you like crisp weather. I wonder if that will be part of it.
My dream travel destination. I'd love to go back to Paris. I've been a couple of times now, but Paris is just magical for me. Yeah. And to go back with somebody I really love and who loves me dearly. That would be great. That would be so lovely. And, you know, Paris is crisp in the fall or whatever. So, you know, tropical thing, that's fine. But, you know, there's many. Paris is so textured, if you will, on so many levels. The weather, the food, the people, you know, the art, all of that. So, yeah, Paris again.
I love that.
Again,
yes.
Well, Brenda, this has just been so lovely, and it's just great to see you again. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's so fast. But it was just so nice
you
to
guys
spend
are
time
so
with you.
lovely. You are from the very beginning, from the very first invitation, and then saying we're going to have to postpone, and then you're coming back, and then having to do our little rearranging that we really don't have to talk about. But I mean, you know, it's been a love fest from the very beginning, from our very first time last year. It's my pleasure. It's my absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for thinking enough of me to have me come and do this. Thank you.
Well, I loved hearing so much about your life, and you really are amazing. You are a light. So thank you.
Thank you. You put a whole lot of light into my life by having me do this tonight. I will kind of run on this for a while. Thank you.
Okay.
Stay safe. Stay safe and healthy and well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wow.
Amazing.
That was great.
It was amazing.
So we're just gonna set up like a daily call with Brenda, just so like we can privately hear more stories, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Great,
so.
that's my
I still want more Jerk from the Mooney Shapiro songbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I know.
So who do we have?
Billy was really acting restrained because I feel like you have about 1,000 more musical theater questions you want to ask.
We will have to have a repeat visit.
Great.
There is more to ask. Absolutely.
So speaking of musical theater, who do we have next week on the roster?
Can it be the one and only Miss Kate Baldwin?
Miss Kate Baldwin.
Miss Kate Baldwin. Well, this is good. That's going to be a joy.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to talk about how I was in the Bruce Mitchell room day after day, just listening to her sing right in my face. And like, I don't know. I just can't get any better than that.
What people would pay. My God. Oh, man. Well, I think I'm looking forward to it next week.
Yeah.
Exciting. So,
well, guess what? I have a feeling I'm going to see the two of you tomorrow.
We might
virtually.
See each other occasionally. We might do some work.
I think you're correct. But we'll see all of you next week with Kate Baldwin. We're very excited about it. And thank you so much for tuning in to Keen After Hours today.
Yeah. It's so good to see all of you and to see Brenda and to sort of, you know, be part of the community for a little bit.
And very soon we will be on air with some new audio theater content. So as we say goodnight, I just want to say I look forward to seeing you at the virtual theater soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you.